What we do is we create reusable products made out of stone paper. I was working in a large corporate and I was using a lot of notes. So I was looking for solutions in note taking. And for me, a physical product really worked well. So I also learned about how harmful the paper industry is. We ended up with stone paper. By using a damp cloth, you can erase what you've written. So it's like one notebook which you can use for over 500 times. So we plant a tree for every product that we sell. So there's a lot of B2B and gifting events. So we visit like at least 10 per year. There's just a bigger market for cheaper gifts. Even if you have a more expensive product, try to make a version that's a bit cheaper. We're doing quite well until the point that COVID started. There's a lot of bad experience with companies actually want to buy gifts, that it's hard to get in touch with people. There's mistakes being made. Don't hide too much behind your computer and actually go out. And it also helps you to learn what people need.
Hello and welcome to the DTC Daily Podcast. Every week we interview some of the best e-commerce founders and dive deep into their key growth drivers, uncovering actionable insights that you can implement in your business. But before we jump into today's conversation, a quick thank you to our friends at Saral. Most brands get influencer marketing wrong. They think paying a creator for a single post will spark a sales spike. That simply doesn't work. Successful brands like Graza, Obvi and Hexclad are forging genuine partnerships. And that's where Saral comes in. It's your go-to platform for partnering with the right influencers, tracking results, and managing everything in one place. Book a demo at getsaral.com/demo, mention us, and get an extended free trial exclusive for our listeners. Hey Roel, welcome to the DTC Daily Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Before we jump into this podcast, could you tell our audience a little bit about your business? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so my name is Roel Schatorjé. We're from the Netherlands, Utrecht, and we have a business that has a mission to create a circular paper industry. Big mission, but very concretely, what we do is we create reusable products made out of stone paper. Think of notebooks, flip overs, sticky notes, several kind of products from stone paper.
Awesome. So let's start at the root. Notebooks are obviously something that's not new. How did you actually come up with the idea, that you want to get into the notebook business?
Well, actually, I was working in a large corporate, like a large bank, and I was using a lot of notes. So on a daily basis, I was making meeting notes, to-do lists, these kind of things. So I was looking for solutions in note taking. For me, it didn't work really well, and I noticed that with a lot of people that making notes on a computer is a different way of registering the things that you do. And for me, a physical product really worked well. So looking into the market for alternatives, there were not so many alternatives that I liked because most of them were kind of a whiteboard feel notebook. And then along with doing my research, I also learned about how harmful the paper industry is. So I was like, can I actually use a different kind of paper, find the right reusable pens, and create a notebook that's more of a storyteller about how a sustainable paper industry will look like. So we ended up with stone paper, which is made out of 80% waste stone. And actually the material is water resistant. So anything that you write in it, you can actually, by using a damp cloth, you can erase what you've written. So it's like one notebook that you can use for over 500 times, maybe like the rest of your life. And it has a to-do list, an agenda, and lines and squares and all these kind of things. So it's one size fits all kind of product.
So when you talk about sustainability, the word sustainability is often very loosely used. It's everywhere. So when you first launched the brand, how did you think about positioning it to avoid getting lumped into every other eco-friendly or sustainable brand?
Yeah, I think sustainability is a bit of a container, for it's often more like a marketing stunt. So yeah. I always really believe that actually the word sustainability for me means for the love of nature. I think honestly, like the nature is so beautiful that it needs help to be protected. And that's why we decided to really build the brand around nature, forest, helping our forest. So that's why we chose to make our products that are tree-free, but also to give back to nature. So we plant a tree for every product that we sell. So I really hope that through the product, you can actually really read the story on how a potential paper industry can look like, that you can actually create a paper industry that's giving back to nature instead of taking from nature. And by also showing that and being transparent on our impacts and on the tree planting project and all these things that we do, we really try to be different on the sustainability part. I think we even avoid the word as much as possible, like sustainability.
One of the interesting things that I noticed on your website was that you've actually managed to make sustainability feel fun and light and very less preachy about, the whole concept of sustainability. So could you just walk us through the entire thought process that's gone behind the branding, the positioning, and, even the messaging strategy, and how you managed to create this sort of vibe around it and not make it, very generic sustainability angle?
Yeah. Well, when I started the company, I was really testing different angles, especially with advertisement. And I noticed over the years that kind of telling people what we do wrong is really like a bad angle to sell products. So first we were doing advertisements or communication on, did you know that X amount of forests are being cut down for the paper industry? Did you know that? And it's not, those things are relevant, but it's not a buying incentive for people to actually buy the product. So we learned that people buy products because they, in between brackets, think they need it. So they actually want to buy something that they will be using. So that's kind of the angle that we chose. We switched away a bit from communicating on how bad or impactful the paper industry is, but more on, this is just a great product that improves your lives, that you're gonna love. You love the writing, you love the erasing part. People love making a to-do list and then erase it afterwards. So what we get back a lot from our clients over the years is that they say like, this really helps me to give, make me work more structured, give overview on the things that I do. So we also chose to showcase that part more on how does it help you in your daily life, rather than just showing what's the actual problem, So in the end, we still do that communication, but it's a bit later. Like somewhere in the mail funnel, you'll also get an update on that and on these kind of things. So you will learn about what's important, but it's not like a buying argument, I would say.
And from our previous conversation, you mentioned that yes, you guys obviously sell direct to consumer, but one of your biggest growth drivers has been selling to B2B businesses. And when I went through your website, looking at some of the customers that you have on the B2B side, it's amazing for for a small business like yours. Could you tell us how you've managed to break into businesses like Rituals, World Wildlife Fund, KLM Airlines, Nike, McKinsey? You've obviously got the biggest of brands as your clients. So walk us through that.
Well, it's a bit of a longer story. When we started, we always thought that businesses were our main target audience. So we started by going to companies, talk to them, how to use paper, why do you use paper, where do you use it for, these kind of things, to actually get to know the client. And we thought we're going to make custom notebooks for those clients. We're doing quite well until the point that COVID started. And then we had to iterate a bit. So we said everything was going online. So we actually created a web shop where we started selling more direct-to-consumer products. And by doing that, we actually got more products in the hands of users. So what we learned is that we now call it a B2C to B strategy. But by offering really nice products to consumers, we learned that most of those consumers all work in a company. So we ended up that same year, like the first year, we ended up in like building a web shop. And then at the end of the year, we got a lot of requests for Christmas gifts, relationship gifts. Can we personalize the notebook? Can we put our own cover on it? So the years after that, we really optimized our B2B product and the offering that we have there. We have like cheaper versions, more expensive versions. And we mainly focused on fast delivery, full cover customization. You kind of can do whatever you want with the notebook, as of very small MOQs. So you can do like 25 units, 5 working days, you got your full notebook with your design. So I think that part really worked well. So we still combine the business of B2C and B2B, but most of our sales is coming through the B2B if you look at numbers. Where we see using companies the notebooks a lot, it's just a great gift. All the companies just want to give a green gift. They want to showcase that they're doing good. I think you also want to surprise your employees by giving them something like that's unique and new, innovative. So that's why we see a lot of companies buying them for, like Christmas gifting, but also for their relations. The companies use them in the sales process because you can do like a part of your sales process, onboarding, offboarding, these kind of things. It really fits well. And as an example, for instance, like we see companies using it as an onboarding gift to kind of avoid cost in the future, because they say if we just give everyone a notebook that starts working with us that lasts like 3 to 5 years, then at one point we can just stop buying notebooks. So it's in the beginning it's just like a nice gift, and in the end it's got like a soft cost saver over the years.
So most brands would actually, struggle with even getting these big companies to actually take you seriously. Most of the stuff that you said, obviously you've got a great sales pitch, but how do you get them to even answer your email initially, to even, get to know some of the stuff that, you're talking about?
Yeah, so we do the full scale of marketing, so like from SEO to SEA to advertisement to actually what really works well is like events. So there's a lot of B2B and gifting events. So we visit like at least 10 per year. But in the end, I think what we really try to do well is making sure that we really have happy users that buy the product, and engaging them, or at least letting them know like this is something that your company might use. So around Christmas, we sent like a big newsletter to all our 40,000 people in our mailbox, saying like, hey, did you know that we make Christmas boxes and that you can personalize your notebook and these kind of things. So using the consumer funnel, I think it's like a great funnel to actually get into the door at companies. And besides that, I mean, we do a lot of network events. We do a lot of cold emails as well, SEO. We write stories on the things that we do, LinkedIn messaging. But we always, like me and my partner, we always say at least 50% of our working day should be around making sure that new people get to know about what we do. So we are very much outside focus and not too much internal.
So, okay, I have a couple of questions actually, because what you're talking about is actually really interesting, the strategy that you're deploying. Let's assume that I am one of the customers, direct to consumer, your direct customers, and I've bought a notebook off your website. What does the journey look like from there till, you getting an order from, let's say, the company I work at? So how do you actually go about figuring out, okay, who is this person? Where do they work, to actually reaching out to, them and telling them, hey, get this in front of your HR or whoever?
This kind of, I think there's two flows happening at the same time. So one is, there's a standardized email flow that we use. And in that email flow, I don't know, like after 3 months, we'll send you an email like, did you know that a lot of companies use our product for their employees, or blah, blah, blah. We show some examples, like if you're interested, just let us know. We also tried like giving big discounts that we say like, if you get us into your company, we give you €100. But actually we learned that was not really what people were looking for. They actually, I think we're kind of a love brand that people really like to work with. So I think for them to really have the guidance in how could they introduce us into their company, that was more valuable than actually giving them the discount. Like, like easy to design the notebook. This is the pricing that we use. Like, here are all the tools that you might need to introduce us to your manager. I think that's more valuable than actually giving them the discount, because I feel everyone is just super busy, So even though you like the project, you like the product, like you don't want to spend too much time on, let's say, notebooks. Let's be fair, right? So you want to be like there's probably like 100 things going on. So you want to make it quick and easy to understand. So we try to really make this funnel as easy as possible. So that's one way. So there's like a standard communication, and there's like specific days that we know that people are looking for gifts. So day for the nurses, and then we really try to reach out to people that are working in the hospital. There's like Christmas is really big in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
End of year's gifts, maybe like a bit back to work kind of gifts. So this and those specific moments, we also send out like really targeted emails to our whole audience. Like, hey, you might have known already, but just so you're sure, like this is kind of things that we do. And sometimes they get picked up. Maybe to add to that, because I think it's quite important. We also work a lot with intermediaries. I think about Well, our list is about 1,000, but I think there's like 50 that are really active. Those are intermediaries that are selling merchandise to companies. So we also got a big newsletter to those companies, and all those companies have samples of our product. All those, and they are in a different funnel, let's say, and they get like updates on, hey, we have new product launches. This might be interesting for your clients. So first we only did notebooks, but now, like a month ago, we launched game books, which are nice for holiday. Like in the back of the car, you can play some games, like these kind of things. So then we like kind of launch these products, send them to the resellers that are working in the gifting industry, and those then can target their audiences and say like, maybe I have this client that could be interested in this product.
Yeah, you made some really interesting points here, and so to add on to this, I wanted to also ask you. You mentioned you guys are doing cold outreach as well and cold emails. So who are you typically reaching out to when you're sending out a cold email? As in within the organization, who is the person?
Different outreach to different people. So we reach out to sustainability managers. Often then we talk a bit more about the impact that you can make with the product. Those are often not the decision makers though. I think a lot of people that sell sustainable products think that they should be at the sustainable department, but I think those can be your cheerleader in the company. Like if they love it, they will talk about it. So it can be like sustainability managers, but most often it's the HR departments, office managers. Smaller companies, it's more like CEOs, like under 250 people. Maybe we should directly go to the owner of the company. And for all those people, we use different kind of angles. So we've written down like these 5 angles are interested to talk about this person. And now actually, this is not something where I can say it's going to work, but what we've been doing is like all this knowledge that we have, we now built an AI funnel that's going to automatically source leads and actually write based on the profile of that person and sort of our knowledge that we have, like directed emails to those people. We have to see how it works, like AI can be like an enhancer, but it can also maybe kill your brand a bit if you're going to do too much weak outreach, I would say. I think we're now at this point, we're a bit more personal. So we have to see how it goes. I'm in between. I don't know if it's going to work.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the use of AI? Actually, we recently also launched paid section in the newsletter called AI Launch Codes, where we talk a lot about using and leveraging AI within businesses, trying to automate certain parts of the business that require a lot of manual work, which can actually just be automated. So could you talk a little bit more in terms of what opportunity did you realize that hey, this is something that AI could do, and we shouldn't be doing it manually?
Yeah, so I think the part that you mentioned about automation, that's I think the most interesting part. So if you look at our typical cold outreach funnel, there's one part which is scraping leads. Can be very time extensive, like it can take a lot of time. LinkedIn Navigator, getting the leads out, like these kind of things. So that part we automated with AI, and then those get fed into like an Excel sheet. And what the Excel sheet does is, for those profiles that we find, it scrapes the website of the company and it scrapes the person. That information it takes to write, based on our information, the best possible subject and opening sentence, and then let's say our general pitch. If we get a positive response on that, it gets automatically added to our CRM Pipedrive. So then we see in a new lead pop into Pipedrive, like, okay, someone replied to that mail funnel. So that whole first part we try to automate and see how it goes. And there's kind of this self-learning component in this AI tool. So it's going to reach out, and it's also going to learn like, these angles work very well for these kind of persons. So it's going to hopefully improve along the way. And I'm thinking about, like I get so many emails like lately since people are starting to use AI, which is so impersonal and really not something that I'm actively looking for. So I also want to be a bit careful on what we actually tell people, like you don't want to be too pushy, I think, but you still want people to know who you are. So I'm also thinking maybe, can we leverage this AI tool to make it even maybe a fun way to do outreach. Like, could we anything that comes out in an Excel sheet as written text, can we translate that in a video and then outreach with the video? You know, like to make it a bit more personal. Like for now, it's I would say a very easy MVP that we should just start testing. And I think we should build on that from sort of like a first version, see what parts are actually useful and actually saving time and helping us, and what parts are damaging us. I don't see it as let's say the golden bullet, you know, like this. It might help, but it also needs. It's not perfect yet.
And for anyone that's listening to this podcast, and has a product that, is something that's giftable and wants to, go down this route of selling to corporates, could you give them maybe 3 pieces of advice and 3 words of caution, when entering this line of business?
Yeah. Well, first of all, make it easy to customize. So every company wants their own logo on a product. So I think that's the main thing. And I think you should focus on that. The second is, there's just a bigger market for cheaper gifts, I would say. So if you can offer your product in bigger scale for, let's say, 10 to 50 euros, you have a bigger market than if you sell products for 100 euros. So even if you have a more expensive product, try to make a version that's a bit cheaper. Let's say, especially, for instance, we learned in the German market, there's anything under 10 euros, there's like no tax registration. So everyone is looking for a gift under 10 euros. So if you come with a gift that's 20 euros, the market is just smaller. I think those 2 things, you asked for 3, right? So a third one, I think take barriers away in the whole process of, hey, I'm interested into like that you deliver the product. So make the customization easy, do fast delivery, have good communication, which is kind of obvious, but I do think there's a lot of bad experience with companies actually want to buy gifts, that it's hard to get in touch with people, or there's mistakes being made. So I think that's something that you can do very well. Be cautious. Where do you should be cautious about? Well, as an impact brand, there's a lot to win in the gifting market, because I think it's an easier way for you to introduce your products to people. Not everyone is able to buy a product in our web shop, but because it's 30 euros, it's a bit more expensive. You might take some time to think if you want to buy it or not. If companies buy it and gift it to their employees, more people get in touch with your product. However, there's also the possibility that products get so popular that you get multiple. It's like, for us, there's no benefit in someone having 5 MOYUs. so if you have one, you're kind of satisfied, because that one you can use for several years. So we did the early adapters we really focused on in the Netherlands, and now we really try to expand to new markets to grab those early adapters and to make sure that people that actually love the product and would really use it are buying that, and not that we sort of like overflowing the market with products.
Got it. And so my last question to you is going to be, for anyone that's watching this podcast and, has gotten inspired and wants to, start selling to corporates, what's the one thing you say they should go and do right away after listening to what's the first thing they should be doing?
To be honest, I think people buy from people, right? So I would be very approachable, open, put your phone number on the website, but also I'm a lot outside. I go to a lot of network events. I talk about what we do. So actually I'm very much linked to our brand, like MOYU and Roel. I think those are very much linked, and I really like the sort of that we're a brand with people behind it. And I think that's what also companies find important. Like, are we actually doing business with, who are we actually talking to, So don't hide too much behind your computer and actually go out. And it also helps you to learn what people need, right? So you can also, I'm always people that ask a lot of questions. So I also learn how did you like the product? Why did you like it? Why you inquired but you did not buy? These kind of questions can help me really to improve what companies need.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. This podcast has, it's been a great episode. You've given us some real insights. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm happy to connect with anyone that's listening on LinkedIn. And see you soon.
Awesome.